contract. Okay, simply contract means that any agreement, what it say, any agreement which is enforceable by law, that is called contract. Okay, and we also know that the contract is basically divided into two parts. The first one is the general principle of contract and the second one is special principle of contract. So today we are going to finish this general principle of contract, that is 1 to 75 section. Okay, we will learn the important sections of 1 to this one. Okay, now see, first important section of general principle of contract, that is general principle of contract, which contain 1 to 75 section. The important section is section 10. Section 10 of the Indian contract. In one word you can just learn it by valid. Okay, section 10 is the valid contract, or you can also say that a backbone of Indian Contract Act. Okay, so section 10 is important in Contract Act. What section 10 say? Essential points of the valid contract. We know now the contract is basically divided into three parts. The first one is void contract, second one is voidable contract, and the third one is the valid contract. So Indian contract, generally we have to do the legal valid contract. So what are the essential points? Simply, if any contract is done between two parties, then it should be made by the free consent. It means without any pressure. The parties must be competent to contract. Okay, competent to contract. In the next slide I will tell you what do you mean by the term competent to contract. And there must be lawful consideration. Consideration means something for something, and with the lawful object. It means lawful object means any contract, the object should be lawful and it is not declared to be void. So in this paragraph the 5 essential points are given for the valid contract. Any doubt in section 10? So section 10 you have to learn in Indian Contract Act. Okay, tomorrow we will do the important sections of your special principle of contract, and today we are going to discuss the general principle of contract, important sections. Okay, so kindly attend the 9 p.m. session, which is very important, and 7:30 p.m. also. So section 10 is clear to all of you? Quickly tell me, section 10 is clear to all of you? Why, Monalisa ma'am, why? Section 10 is very easy. It's a backbone. Section 10 is known as the backbone of Indian Contract Act. So one word you have to learn, that section 10 valid. Okay, valid contract, or you can also learn the backbone of the Indian Contract Act. Okay, now so section 10 is clear to all of you. Okay, so it's an essential point of the valid contract. Now section 11 is important. What is section 11? That is capacity to contract. What is capacity to contract? It means, suppose you know one person cannot do the contract. So for any contract there must be 2 or more parties. Okay, so these 2 or more parties should be major. Major means plus 18. Parties must be sound mind. Sound mind means the person should be capable to understand what is right and what is wrong. It means the person should be of sane mind. Okay, now third one is the capacity to contract means the person should not be disqualified by law. Example, disqualified by law. Suppose if a person is a convicted person means those person who are in the jail. Okay, so convicted person cannot do contract from the outsiders. Okay, so these 3 points are essential in the capacity to contract. So 2 or more person should require the essential points of this one, that is capacity to contract. And you know the one famous case is also there, that is Mohri Bibi versus Dharmo Das Ghosh case. This case is also known as, you can just learn this case by one word, minor mortgage. You know Why this case is famous? Because in this case a landmark judgment came that any contract, if any contract is done by the minor, then that agreement will be, that is void ab initio. Understand? So Mohari Bibi versus Dharmodash case is very important, because in this case the landmark judgment come by the Supreme Court that if any agreement is done by the minor, then the agreement must be void ab initio. And in that case also, the minor had taken the 10 lakh rupees from the other person, and minor gave the mortgage property to the lender. So in that case the minor say that now just give me this property. So in that case the Supreme Court say that this case basically say that the minor is, any agreement that is done by the minor is void ab initio. So you have to learn the one word, that is void ab initio. Void ab initio is a legal maxim. Okay, it means void from the beginning. That's it. Okay, so section 11 is clear to all of you. We have done with section 10 and section 11. Okay. Now, next section. Section 15, 16, 17, 18. So, section 10 is important, section 11 is important. Now, section 15, what it say? First of all, any contract which is done by the coercion, undue influence, fraud and misrepresentation, that contract will be voidable contract. That contract will be voidable contract. Now what is voidable contract? Please listen the example of all the 4 points. Okay, the first term is coercion. Coercion means simply, suppose this is A person. Coercion means suppose this is A person and B person. So A with the gun point, take 10 lakh rupees from B person, because just by making the agreement, B in the fear of this gun point just give the 10 lakh rupees to A person. So when B person just approach to the court, so in that case the what court will say, this agreement is signed by B person by coercion. So that's why this agreement will be called as the, not agreement but the contract will be called as the voidable contract. So voidable contract means in which one party have an option to just breach the contract. That is called voidable contract. Okay, any contract which is done by undue influence, then that contract will be also voidable contract. Any contract done by fraud and misrepresentation, then the contract will be called as the voidable contract. So voidable contract means one party have option to breach the contract. That is called this point. So is that clear to all of you? What is coercion means? Simply threatening to someone. Undue influence means किसी को वश में करना, to hypnotize someone. Fraud means to conceal someone, and misrepresentation means to represent wrongly to someone, that is called misrepresentation. So 15, 16, 17, 18, these 4 sections are important, and voidable contract is also important. And section 19 say that the contract will be voidable contract if the contract is made by coercion, undue influence, fraud and misrepresentation, then the contract will be voidable contract. So these 4 sections, is that clear to all of you? Tarak sir? Very simple. Just try to learn the one word. Coercion means threatening. Undue influence, that is hypnotize. Fraud means deceive something, and misrepresentation means wrongly represent. That is called section 18. Okay, Shakti ma'am, good. Now Next section that is important is section 31 to 36. We do not have to cover all the section. Contingent contract definition is given in section 31. What is contingent contract? It simply say that if any valid contract is depend upon the uncertain event, if any valid contract is depend upon the uncertain event, then that contract is known as contingent contract. Jasmine ma'am, section 19 simply say that if any contract done by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, then that contract will be voidable contract. That is section 19. You do not have to remember section 19, but still I just give you the hint what is section 19. Okay, now contingent contract, any valid contract which depends upon the uncertain event. Uncertain event, that is future event which is not certain. Simple example is that X and Y is there. X person say to Y that I will give you my car if my ship will return within 6 months. So this is the event. Okay, so this contract that X have to give car to the Y person, that contract should be the valid contract. This contract is depend upon this event, that ship should be come within the 6 months. So if the ship come in 4 months, then the car will be delivered to the Y person. This is called contingent contract. Shakti ma'am, AFB की 1000 क्वेश्चन की क्लास लिए. शक्ति मैम, यू कैन जस्ट चेक द साइट कि आपका क्लासेस कब कब है 1000 क्वेश्चन का. ओके, चलो अब देखिए कंटीजेंट कंटेंट वी हैव डन. नाउ व्हाट इज क्वाज़ाई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? क्वाज़ाई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सेक्शन 68 to 72, and you have to learn the basic term of quasi contract. Okay, now what is quasi contract? For that thing I am just giving you the one example. Suppose this is the delivery boy of pizza. Okay, so this is the pizza delivery boy. A person ordered the pizza, but this person X by mistake give pizza to the B person, and B person ate the pizza. So in that case, it's a liability of B person that either B have to give money to A person or money to this pizza delivery boy. Okay, so it means that, you know, in generally contract the formula of contract is offer acceptance is equal to, that is agreement plus law enforceability is equal to contract. This is the general formula of contract. But in quasi contract, the contract will be done and then after the formula will be done, offer plus acceptance. So if B had eaten the pizza, it means the B have entered in the contract. Now B have to just offer the price money to the delivery boy or to the A person. Okay, exactly. Quasi means half. Quasi means half contract. Okay, so you have to learn this formula, that the general principle of formula is this, but quasi contract follow this formula. Okay, this is called the quasi contract. So that's all for today's class. So we have done with the important section of your Indian Contract Act, the general principle. Okay, so now we have to revise the section. First of all, section 10, one word is valid. Okay, now section 11, that is competent, one word, competent. Section 15, that is coercion. Section 16, undue influence. Section 17, that is fraud, 17, fraud. Section 18, misrepresentation. Section 31, that is contingent contract. Section 68 to 72, because you know the exact definition of quasi contract is not given, so that's why we have to remember all the section 68 to 72, because in this section the types of quasi contract is written. So we have to learn all the section 68 to 70, that is the quasi contract. Okay, so this is the one word of this one. Jasmine ma'am, section 19 is simply, section 19 wordings say that if any contract is done by coercion, undue influence, fraud and misrepresentation, then these contract will be called as the voidable contract. This is the exact wording of section 19. And section 15 tells the exact definition of coercion, 16 definition of undue influence, 17 fraud, 18 that is misrepresentation. Is that okay, Jasmine ma'am? So tomorrow we will do the important sections of general principle of contract. So if you have any doubt in these section, you can just tell me. Section 25, also one important, it say that any agreement without consideration is void. Without consideration is void. It means for any agreement there should be consideration. Consideration means something for something. So that's all for today's class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hardly 8 sections are there for your general principle of contract. Okay. So those who are going to give exam in the February session, so these sections are important, and those who are for the May-June session, these sections are important for the examination point of view. Okay. If you have any question, you can ask in a comment box. Now I'm just going to tell you the important thing, that the new bilingual batch is going to be start from 15 February. Those who are targeting the May-June session exam, so only you have to use the code Y391 for the special and the maximum discount. Okay, and now how to purchase it? I'm just giving you a hint that how you can purchase the batch. Okay, so for this thing you have to go to the Adda site. Okay, you have to go to the Adda site, and you can also ask the question, okay, if you have any doubt. So in Adda site you have to just click on JAIIB cap, okay, and click on JAIIB. You can see that online live classes, click on view all, and those who are just going to give exam in the February session, so these 3000 MCQ questions are very, very important. Okay, why it is important?